Imagine this: 50,000 soldiers marching for months across burning deserts, dense forests, freezing mountains. No toilets, no sewage system, no running water. And yet, they didn't die from disease. How? Because the army of Ashoka followed a system so simple, yet so powerful, that even modern armies still use its principles today. This is the forgotten science of survival. When we think of ancient empires, we imagine war elephants, swords, and massive battles. But here's the truth no one talks about. Armies don't lose wars only on the battlefield. They lose to disease. In fact, throughout history, more soldiers died from infection and poor sanitation than from enemy weapons. So how did the army of the Mauryan Empire survive long campaigns? The answer lies not in weapons, but in discipline and hygiene. Section 1: The invisible threat. Let's understand the real danger. If 50,000 men live together, they eat together, sleep together, and yes, relieve themselves daily. Without control, within days, water gets contaminated, flies spread bacteria, disease explodes, and suddenly, your powerful army becomes weak. Without a single battle. This is exactly what destroyed many ancient armies. But Ashoka's forces did something different. Section 2: The simple rule that saved thousands. The most important rule: separation. Every Mauryan military camp was carefully organized. Living areas, cooking zones, animal zones, and most importantly, latrine zones. Toilets were always far away from camp. Downwind, so smell and germs don't travel back. Downstream, so water doesn't get contaminated. This may sound basic, but this one rule alone prevented massive outbreaks. Section 3: The dig and cover method. Now comes the most practical solution. No toilets. No problem. Soldiers used a simple technique. Dig a pit. Use it. Cover it with soil. That's it. This is called the dig and cover method. Why did it work? Because covering waste blocks flies, reduces smell, stops bacteria from spreading. Even today, modern armies use a similar technique in remote areas. Thousands of years later, the idea is still alive. Section 4: They never stayed too long. Here's another hidden advantage. They didn't stay in one place for long. Most camps were temporary. After a few days or weeks, the army moved on. Why is that important? Because disease needs time to spread. If you leave before contamination builds up, you break the cycle. In a strange way, movement itself was protection. Section 5: Water discipline. Water was life and death. The Mauryan army followed strict water rules. Drinking water was collected from clean upstream sources. Bathing and washing happened separately. Waste was never dumped near drinking areas. This required discipline. One mistake, and thousands could fall sick. But strict control kept the army functioning. Section 6: The unsung heroes. Here's something most people don't know. Ancient armies weren't just soldiers. They had workers, laborers, camp followers. These people handled digging latrines, cleaning camps, managing waste. They were invisible. But without them, the army would collapse. Section 7: Knowledge from ancient texts. India wasn't just relying on guesswork. Texts like the Arthashastra, associated with Chanakya, laid down rules for camp layout, sanitation, discipline. This shows something powerful. Ancient Indian systems understood that hygiene equals survival. This wasn't random. It was planned. Section 8: The truth: They still suffered. Now let's be real. Did Ashoka's army completely avoid disease? No. They still faced dysentery, infections, parasites. But here's the difference. Other armies collapsed quickly. Mauryan forces lasted longer. Why? Because they controlled the damage. Section 9, the big lesson. The real secret wasn't technology. It was discipline, organization, awareness. No modern tools, no advanced science, just simple rules, followed strictly. And that made the difference between an army that survives and an army that destroys itself. So next time you think about powerful empires, don't just think about swords and battles. Think about something far less glamorous, but far more important: toilets. Because sometimes history isn't decided by weapons. It's decided by where you choose to go to the bathroom. If you want, I can also